A hand grenade is any small bomb that can be thrown by hand. A variety of hand grenades exist, the most common being explosive grenades designed to detonate after impact or after a set amount of time. Grenadiers were originally soldiers who specialized in throwing grenades. Etymology. The word grenade derives from the French word for a small explosive shell. Its first usage in English dates from the 1590s. It is likely derived from Old French pomegranate, so called because the many-seeded fruit suggested the powder-filled, fragmenting bomb, or from similarity of shape. History. Early grenades, rudimentary incendiary grenades, appeared in the Eastern Roman Empire, not long after the reign of Leo III. Byzantine soldiers learned that Greek fire, a Byzantine invention of the previous century, could not only be thrown by flamethrowers at the enemy, but also in stone and ceramic jars. Later, glass containers were employed. The use of Greek fire, or rather variants thereof, spread to Muslim armies in the Near East, from where it reached China by the 10th century. In China during the Song dynasty, weapons known as zhentianlei were created when Chinese soldiers packed gunpowder into ceramic or metal containers. In 1044, a military book Wu Jingzong Yao described various gunpowder recipes in which one can find, according to Joseph Needham, the prototype of the modern hand grenade. The Chinese also discovered the explosive potential of packing hollowed cannonball shells with gunpowder. The mid-14th century book, Huo Longjing, written by Zhao Yu, recorded an earlier Song-era cast-iron cannon known as the Flying Cloud Thunderclap cannon. The manuscript stated that the shells are made of cast iron, as large as a bowl and shaped like a ball. Inside they contain half a pound of divine fire. They are sent flying towards the enemy camp from an eruptor, and when they get there a sound like a thunderclap is heard, and flashes of light appear. If 10 of these shells are fired successfully into the enemy camp, the whole place will be set ablaze. The first cast-iron bombshells and grenades did not appear in Europe until 1467. In 1643, it is possible that grenados were thrown amongst the Welsh at Holt Bridge during the English Civil War. The word grenade originated during the events surrounding the Glorious Revolution in 1688. Where cricket ball-sized iron spheres packed with gunpowder and fitted with slow-burning wicks were first used against the Jacobites in the battles of Killiecrankie and Glenshiel. These grenades were not very effective and, as a result, saw little use. However, improvised grenades were increasingly used from the mid-19th century, being especially useful in trench warfare. In a letter to his sister, Colonel Hugh Robert Hibbett described an improvised grenade that was employed by British troops during the Crimean War. "We have a new invention to annoy our friends in the pits. It consists in filling empty soda water bottles full of powder, old twisted nails and any other sharp or cutting thing we can find at the time, sticking a bit of tow in for a fuse, then lighting it and throwing it quickly into our neighbor's pit where it bursts, to their great annoyance. You may imagine their rage at seeing a soda water bottle come tumbling into a hole full of men with a little fuse burning away as proud as a real shell exploding and burying itself into soft parts of the flesh." In the American Civil War, both sides used hand grenades equipped with a plunger that detonated the device upon impact. The Union relied on experimental Ketchum grenades, with a tail to ensure the nose would strike the target and start the fuse. The Confederacy used spherical hand grenades that weighed about 6 pounds, sometimes with a paper fuse. They also used Rains and Adamser grenades, which were similar to the Ketchum in appearance and mechanism. Improvised hand grenades were also used to great effect by the Russian defenders of Port Arthur during the Russo-Japanese War. Development of modern grenades. The lack of an effective hand grenade and their perceived dangerousness and lack of utility meant that they were regarded as increasingly obsolete pieces of military equipment. In 1902, the British War Office officially announced that hand grenades were obsolete and had no place in modern warfare. However, within just 2 years, following the success of improvised grenades in the trench warfare conditions of the Russo-Japanese War, and reports from General Sir Aylmer Haldane, a British observer of the conflict, a reassessment was quickly made and the Board of Ordnance was instructed to develop a practical hand grenade. Various models using a percussion fuse were built, but this type of fuse suffered from various practical problems and were not commissioned in large numbers. Martin Hale, better known for patenting the Hale's rifle grenade, developed a modern hand grenade in 1906. But was unsuccessful in persuading the British Army to adopt the weapon until 1913. Hale's chief competitor was Niels Waltersen AASEN, who invented his design in 1906 in Norway, receiving a patent for it in England. He began his experiments with developing a grenade while serving as a sergeant in the Oscarsborg fortress. AASEN formed the Arsensky Granit Company in Denmark, which before the First World War produced and exported hand grenade in large numbers across Europe. He had success in marketing his weapon to the French, and was appointed as Knight of the French Legion in 1916 in honor for the invention. The Royal Laboratory invented the No. 1 grenade in 1908. It contained explosive material with an iron fragmentation band, with an impact fuse, detonating when the top of the grenade hit the ground. A long cane handle allowed the user to throw the grenade further than the blast of the explosion. Early in World War I, combatant nations only had small grenades, similar to Hale's and Arsen's design. For example, the Italian Badseed grenade had a 5-second fuse with a match tip that was ignited by striking on a ring on the soldier's hand. As an interim measure, the troops often improvised their own, such as the jam-tin grenade. Fragmentation grenades were replaced when manufactured versions became available. The first modern fragmentation grenade was the Mills bomb, which became available to British front-line troops from 1915. William Mills, a hand grenade designer from Sunderland, patented, developed and manufactured the Mills bomb at the Mills Munition Factory in Birmingham, England in 1915, designating it the No. 5. It was described as the first safe grenade. They were explosive-filled steel canisters with a triggering pin and a distinctive deeply notched surface. This segmentation was thought to aid fragmentation and increase the grenade's deadliness. Later research showed that the segmentation did not improve fragmentation. Improved fragmentation designs would later be made with the notches on the inside, but at the time, this would have been too expensive to produce. The external segmentation of the original Mills bomb was retained, since it provided a positive grip surface. This basic pin and pineapple design is still used in some modern grenades. The Mills bomb underwent numerous modifications. The No. 23 was a variant of the No. 5 with a rodded base plug which allowed it to be fired from a rifle. This concept evolved further with the No. 36, a variant with a detachable baseplate to allow use with a rifle discharge a cup. The final variation of the Mills bomb, the No. 36M, was specially designed and waterproofed with shellac for use initially in the hot climate of Mesopotamia in 1917, but remained in production for many years. By 1918 the No. 5 and No. 23 were declared obsolete and the No. 36 followed in 1932. The Mills was a classic design, a grooved cast iron pineapple, with a central striker held by a close-hand lever and secured with a pin. The Mills was a defensive grenade. After throwing, the user had to take cover immediately. A competent thrower could manage 15 meters with reasonable accuracy, but the grenade could throw lethal fragments farther than this. The British Home Guard were instructed that throwing range of the No. 36 was about 30 yards with a danger area of about 100 yds. Approximately 75 million grenades were manufactured during World War I and remained in use through to the Second World War. At first the grenade was fitted with a 7-second fuse, but during combat in the Battle of France in 1940, this delay proved too long, giving defenders time to escape the explosion or even to throw the grenade back, so the fuse was reduced to 4 seconds. The F1 grenade was first produced in limited quantities by the French state in May 1915. This new weapon inherited from the experience of the first months of the war. The shape was made to be more modern, with an external grooves pattern for better grip and easier fragmentation. The second expectation proved deceptive, since the explosion in practice gave no more than 10 fragments. The design was proved to be very functional, especially due to its stability compared to other grenades of the same period. Later the F1 was used by many foreign armies in the period from 1915 to 1940. Stick grenade. The German Model 24 steel hand grenade stick grenade was introduced in 1915 and the design developed throughout World War I. A friction igniter was used. This method was uncommon in other countries but widely used for German grenades. A pull cord ran down the hollow handle from the detonator within the explosive head, terminating in a porcelain ball held in place by a detachable base closing cap. To use the grenade, the base cap was unscrewed, permitting the ball and cord to fall out. Pulling the cord dragged a roughened steel rod through the igniter, causing it to flare up and start the 5-second fuse burning. This simple design continued to evolve throughout the First and Second World Wars, with the Model 24 grenade becoming one of the most easily recognized of all small arms, and synonymous with the German soldier. Further development during World War II, the United Kingdom used incendiary grenades based on white phosphorus. One model, the No. 76 Special Incendiary Grenade, was mainly issued to the Home Guard as an anti-tank weapon. It was produced in vast numbers. By August 1941, well over 6 million had been manufactured. The United States developed the Mk2 hand grenade prior to the war. Nicknamed the Pineapple for its grooved surface, this weapon became synonymous with the American GI. However, the heavy, segmented bodies of pineapple-type grenades result in an unpredictable pattern of fragmentation. After the Second World War, Britain adopted grenades that contained segmented coiled wire and smooth metal casings. Despite this, the Mills bomb remained the standard grenade of the British Armed Forces and was manufactured in the UK until 1972, when it was completely replaced by the L2 series.